It's Fire Princess, and we are back with Seduce Me Part 4, and actually, hopefully we will start James's route. I am so sorry this is taking so long. I forgot how long this game actually was when you're in the introduction. Yes, this is literally the introduction of the game. Anyway, I totally left you guys on a cliffhanger last time, and that was so rude of me. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and continue on, and we're gonna get this started. Alright, here we go. Huh? Me?
You see, beautiful, we feed on sexual energy.
You had to say that
we
sexually.
don't just get it from kissing lovely ladies such as yourself. We can simply touch someone's hand to obtain sexual energy. Everyone carries sexual energy, you know.
I had to say that word 3 times in a sentence. I was shocked. It wasn't just kissing that gave them power, it was anything physical. No wonder I was out for a while. These incubi intrigued me, and I could almost hear a warning siren go off in my head.
Is there anything else you wish to know?
Well, what do you all plan to do now?
Yeah, what are we gonna do now, James?
That is a very good question. We just got here, and surely we'll be hunted again if we leave.
We can take him, easily.
Not without more training, Sam. The result of that was clearly evident in our last encounter with them.
At that moment, I didn't know what came over me, but I felt sorry for them. They couldn't survive out there. If they didn't know breaking and entering was against the law, they probably didn't know what else was illegal. That would cause chaos all over town. On the flip side, they could be taken in for questioning and be poked and prodded like frogs for lab research. That was even worse. But most of all, they reminded me of back then. I was standing alone. The entire classroom was filled with laughter and chatter, but I stood in the midst of it, quiet and alone. It was strange seeing the whole world pass in front of me with such vibrancy, all while I stood there. On the plus side, I wasn't engaged in any drama that might have arisen, like scribbling on someone's paper for revenge or kicking someone too hard. It was kind of nice, just standing back and watching things pass by and life go on. I had long convinced myself that I preferred being alone, and encouraged myself, saying, "Yeah, I want to be alone. There's no one I like better than myself." But there was a certain bitterness that made me feel sad. There was a difference between being alone and feeling lonely. I just didn't realize it at that moment. And even after that moment, my father, my mother, there was no one to turn to. I was so lonely. That's when I decided right then. I was going to see my grandfather. I didn't care if my father wouldn't take me. I was going to walk my way over there and see what he had to say about it. I had never seen him before that. What better time to see him then? If no one else was going to help me with what I was feeling, I might as well have turned to him. So after school, I decided to walk there. I had no idea how to get there, and I was armed with only a scrap of paper with the address scribbled on it. As a 7-year-old, I obviously had great ideas. Soon, I knew I was lost. I just stood there on the sidewalk, back pressed up against the wall, and eyes watched the strangers passing by. And, like always, people continued to pass by, and life continued to go on. I was more depressed than ever. I had ended up in the situation I was originally in. Nothing had changed. I thought I was silly for even thinking that I could change things on my own hands. That was, until a voice brought me back to reality.
Hon, is that you?
I looked up and saw an unfamiliar face, but it was obvious that whoever was talking to me knew who I was. And from that moment, things began to change. Life began moving its rusty joints, and I realized that things were moving along. Suddenly, I'd become part of the crowd that moved like a blur past me. I was no longer someone who stood still and watched life pass by. Life had changed. I had changed. Because the person who found me that day was my grandfather. I had the opportunity to help them. The question was, would I? I wanted to, but I wasn't sure if that was the best idea. After all, 5 demons in my house wasn't an living arrangement I had imagined moving into. There was the matter of making sure no one found out about their powers. Thinking about them as lab rats made my stomach queasy. And even if they passed for humans, how could I explain having guys living in my house? Imagine if my friends came over. They would practically think I was a part of a harem or something. Oh God. Imagine if my parents came over. I think my mom would faint. Who knows what my dad would do? I think he would have them arrested on the spot. Ugh, this was hard. Maybe I should have written out the pros and cons list before actually having to make the decision.
Don't worry too much about it. You have plenty of time to decide. Besides, you should do what makes you happy as well.
It was strange that I happened to remember what my grandfather said to me when I was little, but it did kind of make sense. They weren't in the same exact situation that I was in before, but I did want to help them out. I think it would ease my conscience and also make me a bit happy to give them help, as weird as that sounded. Clenching my hands in a fist, I strengthened my resolve to speak up. Well, you could...
What was that, lovely lady?
That is,
Spit it out already.
Don't be a dick, Sam. You could stay with me here if you like. Oh, sorry, I totally just skipped that. As soon as I finished, the room became still. I'm not sure what went through their heads. The silence in the air cut like a knife until I spoke once more. It looks like you all need a place to stay, and, well, I just moved into this giant house, so it made sense to ask. It was still quiet in the room. I decided to keep talking.
Yes?
Sorry. I skipped it again. If you would like to stay here, though, there are 2 things I need all of you to follow.
Yes.
First of all, you can't use your powers or deliberately do something that might harm guests that come over. Well, safe for enemies, but you get the gist of it. Second, you have to help. This is kind of big, so yeah.
That is a generous offer, miss. Are you sure that would be okay? We don't wish to burden you any more than we already have.
It's alright. Really. I mean, I just started living here myself, so I would appreciate some help around the house.
A wonderful idea. We'll live here and train while helping you with the house. Servants for the lovely princess.
Sam does not look happy about that idea.
What? Shh, be quiet, Sam. I haven't slept in a bed for days.
They all seemed to like the idea, except for Sam. And hey, I didn't really hate the idea either, even if they were incubi. It would be interesting having 5 guys helping me to take care of the house, given they would follow the rules that I had laid down.
Fine, but we're not staying here forever. Only until we can beat up that group of punks.
I think that is a reasonable time limit for our stay.
Yes, this is awesome.
Also beautiful. If you need a bedfellow.
Eric, no.
Eric, knock it off.
That sly smirk on his face, though. I was happy that they agreed. Maybe it was because I wasn't going to be lonely for a while, or because they all needed help. I would never be sure.
So what are we waiting for? Let's celebrate and dig in. Finally, I'm starving.
Instantly, Matthew and Sam began to stuff themselves with food on the table. I noticed Jam's eyes twitching. Oh my god. I'm sorry, you guys. That was awful. That won't happen again. I noticed James' eye twitching in irritation, so I stifled my incoming laugh.
Really, you two? You're both acting like pigs. Oh, let them have a little freedom, James. It's not like we've eaten recently either. I'm sure they've been starving.
Ah, sorry.
Still, that's no excuse for stuffing their faces like backyard swine.
Oh boy. I almost couldn't hold it in. Oh hey, look, we got a heart for that. I merely smiled before I took some food for myself. There was one piece of food that intrigued me and was barely touched by the boys. It looked like a green pasta with shrimp over it. Huh? What's this?
That, miss, is a shrimp pesto dish. Pastas are my specialty, so I'm positive you'll enjoy it.
I twirled some around my fork and tried it. I could feel my senses open as my taste buds practically melted in delight at the taste. It was creamy and savory, almost impossible to describe. This is amazing.
I'm glad you like it. At least someone here in the room has taste.
Matthew and Sam glared at James before they continued to eat. I couldn't help but smile at the brotherly quarrel before eating the rest of the pasta on my plate. James seemed to really hold high standards for his brothers, though it wasn't my place to question why. Eventually we all ate dinner together. It was strange eating with just guys, but they were enjoyable to be around. They made me feel like a part of their family as we ate together. However, our peace was soon disturbed. Huh? It's my mom. Excuse me. Hello?
Hey, honey, how are you? I'm sorry I didn't get to see you off.
Hi, Mom. Everything's fine. I'm actually eating dinner right now.
Oh, good. So there was food there. Well, your father wanted me to call and talk to you about having a house party tomorrow night to celebrate the new house and all.
A house party? Tomorrow night? So soon?
Your father insists. You know how he is with events.
I knew exactly what she meant. He didn't like long relaxing periods between important events. It was slightly messed up. I was expected to act on the drop of a dime, from moving immediately the day after my funeral to my grandfather's house to now organizing a party. I know. Well, since I don't exactly have you two to help me arrange it, I'm going to need some time to prepare things.
Oh, that's fine. I mean, Suzu and Naomi can help. I have work, and you know how your father is.
I know. I had to do it myself. He won't help.
I'm sure it'll be amazing, honey. I have faith in you.
Thanks, Mom.
All right, I gotta go. I love you, sweetie.
I love you too, Mom. Damn. Great. Now how am I going to do this?
Is something wrong?
She has to organize a house party for her parents.
Damian, don't talk like that. Huh? How did you... Oh, right. Mind reading. But yeah, I have to do it soon or my parents will be really disappointed. I'll have to stay up and organize everything tonight.
Hey, why don't we help you? That's what we're here for, right?
I don't see why not.
I can name a few reasons why we shouldn't.
Sam?
Back off!
We'll take care of everything, miss. Just leave everything to us.
That was surprising. I didn't think the boys would offer their help right off the bat. I couldn't help but smile. I was actually rather thankful now that I let them stay. Now I didn't have to do everything alone. As I kept thinking about it, I couldn't help but yawn.
Feeling a little tired over there, princess?
Yeah, it's been a long day. At least tomorrow's the weekend, so I can sleep in. Then it hit me. Wait, where are all you going to sleep?
We found some guest rooms on the opposite end of the house from the master bedroom. I'm sure those will do just fine.
Oh, got it. All right, then. I'm heading my room to study and sleep. I guess I'll see you all tomorrow.
Have a good night.
I will. You too. With that, I left the dining room and went to my room.
Eric, no. What? I wasn't going to do anything.
Yes, he was.
Shh.
I can only assume what they mean by that. As soon as I got into my room, a wave of exhaustion hit me. Why am I so tired all of a sudden? I just woke up from that nap. I dragged myself into bed and hauled up one of my bags. I opened it and grabbed my economics book, knowing that no matter how tired I was, I had to study at least a page or two before sleeping at last. The words on the page scrambled in my mind as I read through them, but after 2 or 3 tries, I managed to understand what the page was about. Equations. Ugh. Finally, I decided to change into my pajamas and head to bed. Today had been a long day, and I needed the rest. Hopefully tomorrow will be better. 3 days of surprise in a row would kill me. With that thought in mind, I drifted to sleep, embracing the darkness of slumber.
You fucking pretty boys think you're all that, huh? Well, save that to the end of my pistol!
Huh? What's going on? I couldn't move my body. I felt like I was tied up and I couldn't see anything beyond the darkness that surrounded me. Yet, I could hear the sounds of a heated argument coming from me from all directions.
One move and she gets it! Let her go!
Matthew?
Come on, chicken shit. Fight us like a real man. Like you scare me, Sam. Come on. Take one step. I dare ya.
Why can't I see?
Stay away from her, Mallets. And what are you gonna do, nerd boy?
Suddenly I felt myself pulled to one side, arms wrapped around my body protectively.
I've got you. Don't worry.
Huh? Eric? As I was held in the tight embrace, I felt the world around me once again settle into a low, peaceful hum. The hostility of the dream before had faded into black as the arms around me rocked me comfortably. Slowly, though my eyes fluttered open, I looked up and saw the person holding me. Damian? I stared into the eyes of Damian. His face was painted with worry and concern, and I knew he must have seen my dream. Why did I dream of Eric holding me, though?
You can't control your dreams.
Oh, well, I guess you're right.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you. What time is it?
It's 9 a.m. James and I were making breakfast when well...
You can't control your mind reading?
No, not yet at least. I hope to learn eventually, though.
Is everything all right?
Huh? Yeah, I'm alright.
That's good. I'm assuming you had a nightmare.
Yes, I'm sorry for disturbing you both.
You didn't disturb us, miss. Besides, we'd rather make sure you're okay before anything.
Oh, thank you.
Now, why don't you come downstairs with us and have some breakfast? I'm sure some nice food will take your mind off of what you dreamt of.
It was embarrassing to be the damsel in distress, but I felt rather happy that James and Damian were concerned for me despite only knowing me for a short time. I wasn't sure if that was just courtesy, or if they were generally concerned. I can't exactly read their minds. All right. The two boys led me back into the dining room where the smell of bacon and eggs danced in the air. The smell wafted from the kitchen and made its way into the room, making my stomach growl in need. Breakfast smells good.
We should be done with breakfast soon. If you want to sit down at the table, you can.
I nodded before sitting down. As I sat down, however, my mind drifted back to the dream I had. The feeling of hostility around me made my body shudder instinctively, even though I knew it wasn't real. However, as my eyes closed, I felt a hand place itself on top of my head, breaking me out of my thoughts. Huh?
Morning. You alright?
Yeah, I'm fine. Sam, the owner of the hand on my head, raised an eyebrow at me before rustling my hair and moving away to sit down at the table. He then barked towards the kitchen where James was working.
Hey! Is the food done yet? I'm starving!
There's no need to yell, Sam!
You're yelling too!
Don't argue with me!
From behind me, Eric appeared and sat beside me, rubbing his temples in obvious annoyance.
Can we not yell this early in the morning? It's not like we're in the castle.
Castle? For some reason, when I heard the word castle, I couldn't help but yell in surprise. These guys had a castle? Sam looked at me and smirked at my reaction.
Yeah, we have a castle back home. Our dining room's 10 times bigger than this room.
And wouldn't it be logical to not yell?
Eric's throwing the truth out like shade, bro.
Whatever.
Soon James and Damian appeared, carrying plates full of bacon, eggs, toast, and waffles. They placed the plates down by each other's seat, or placed the plates down by each seat before seating themselves.
My favorite.
Finally.
Thank you for the breakfast. It looks amazing.
It's our pleasure.
All of a sudden, my phone began to ring, ushering me to pull it from my pocket and answer. Hello?
Hey, good morning. Guess who's at your door right now?
Right on cue, there was a knock from the lobby door. My heart stopped. Suzu and Naomi were here?
I'll get it.
My heart quickly began to pound in my chest. Matthew was in the lobby, and he'd get to the door first. I instantly jumped out of my chair and rushed out of the dining room. As I passed through the archway between the dining room and the lobby, I saw Matthew reach his hand for the brass door handle, causing the world to go in slow motion. Matthew, don't! Before my words could reach his ears, Matthew had opened the door and revealed the surprised faces of Naomi and Suzu. The world around me stopped as Suzu and Naomi kept their eyes on Matthew, who merely stared back in fear and embarrassment. I could feel the air go from warm to freezing in a matter of seconds.
Hi?
I could not believe this was happening. How was I going to explain this? This week was already bad enough. To make matters worse, I was frozen in place. Please, for God's sake, someone do something other than stand there.
Who are you?
Suzu, let me explain.
What's going on here?
Who's at the door, Matthew?
Oh. Soon the other incubi appeared in the lobby with us. The situation was not pretty. I had to think fast. They're visitors. They're in your head. They're my brother. Oh, we should probably not pick they're my brothers. Because that would just be weird. First off, they probably already know that my parents only had one child. They're in your head. Well, that's just me calling them crazy. And, probably shouldn't do that either. Because I'm playing a game with incubi. That's just, yeah. Their visitors are probably the most logical answer.
Then why did one of them open the door? Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
It was no use. There was no time to lie to them. I felt helpless. Then I felt a hand on my shoulder and felt the tension in my body almost fade away. I turned my head to see James smile at me before stepping in front of me.
We must apologize, ladies. We know this situation must be confusing for everyone. Let's take this to the dining room and we'll explain everything.
I stared at James wide-eyed. He was going to tell them who they were. Everything seemed surreal. Before I knew it, I was led into the dining room along with Suzu and Naomi, who sat across from their confused gazes. As Naomi and Suzu sat down, Eric and Matthew placed their untouched plates of food in front of them, surprising their guests.
Whoa, this looks amazing! Thank you!
Our pleasure, ladies. We hope you enjoy your meals.
Make sure you dig in.
I looked at Naomi and Suzu as they began to eat, visibly enjoying every bite they placed in their mouths. Hopefully, the food would ease their minds for whatever James wanted to reveal. As Naomi and Suzu ate their impromptu meals, James and the other boys stood behind my chair, making me grow more red in the face.
So, Anderson, are you gonna tell us what's going on?
Well, you see, Gently, James placed a hand on my shoulder again, signaling me just to eat my food. As I began to eat, he spoke to Naomi and Suzu.
We are Miss Anderson's house servants. We were hired by her late grandfather to help around the mansion, but since he has passed, we now assist Miss Anderson with living on her own.
That makes sense. It's such a huge house.
A huge house for a wonderful princess such as Miss Anderson deserves the greatest of servants to care for it.
But why are you all dressed so casually and stuff? Aren't servants supposed to have uniforms or whatever?
Well, Miss Anderson allows us to get comfy while we work, so she lets us wear casual clothes.
Yeah, something like that.
We're sorry if we made this situation awkward earlier.
We're very sure that Miss Anderson is also still getting used to having us as her servants. It would be very hard to explain after just a day.
I guess.
So, if I may ask, what brings you two ladies here?
Well, we wanted to see how our friend was doing. Since it's the weekend and all, usually we hang out and just chill. Yeah, like going to the arcade and stuff. Or the Pink Lady Cafe.
There's an arcade?
That makes a lot of sense, ladies. Well, we don't wish to disturb you any further than we have, so we'll take our leave and start preparing the house.
Huh? Preparing for what?
We gotta prep the house for some sort of housewarming party thing.
Our princess's parents requested a housewarming party to be held here soon.
And by soon, they mean tonight.
Oh, well, I guess we can help out or something. Right, Naomi? I thought you wanted to go to the arcade. This housewarming thing is more important.
No need. We can handle it. If you'd like to, miss, you can go out with your friends while we handle things here.
Seriously? Sam, not now.
Well, I wanted to help out, but at the same time I wanted to go out with my friends. James gave me an understanding look, letting me know that if I left, everything would be okay. I had to make a decision. Okay, so I actually looked up something because I wasn't sure if you could still do the right choice if you selected I'll go out with Suzu and Naomi. You actually have to put I'll stay and help around the house if you're aiming to get a route. So
Are you sure?
I'm sure. Besides, it is my housewarming party. I should help out too.
Want us to help out as well?
I think we got it all taken care of. Thanks though, girls.
All right. We'll head on out then so we're not in the way.
Sorry guys. I'll hang out with you guys soon.
It's all good, Anderson. We'll definitely come to the housewarming party tonight.
Thank you. I led them back into the lobby and walked them to the doors, opening it for them with a thankful smile. They both gave me hugs before walking out to Naomi's car, which was parked in the driveway. And with that, they left. I was happy that they wanted to help, but I had to do this on my own. It was not their work, so I didn't want to force it on them just because they were my best friends. We had the entire day to work. The party was tonight, and we had to do all we could to make sure everything was right. We sat down and talked about what needed to happen before the party started that night. Each guy had been assigned to a different part of the house to do, and right after lunch, we would begin to work. Since everything was taken care of by at least one incubus, James told me I could assist one of them. The question was, who? Obvious answer, James with the garden. James and I headed out to the garden. It had been years since I had been in the small field. The gazebo was smaller than I remembered, but I had grown since I had last seen it. James rolled up his sleeves and took in a breath of air before sighing contently.
So, we need to cater to the plants and make sure there are no muddy spots in the grass. It may take a while. Are you sure you wish to help me and not the others?
I shook my head, rolling up my sleeves as well. I can handle it. I'd rather work outside anyway. James nodded with a smile before handing me a watering can, gesturing to a group of flowers by the side of the yard. I walked over and began to water the flowers. However, as silence took control of the air, I felt the need to start a conversation. Ask him a question or don't say anything. I don't know, it'd be a little bit awkward not to say anything, but I feel like if we asked a question, we might do something wrong, but we don't say anything, we might do something wrong. This is really the hardest thing, is trying to decide answers. But, unfortunately, actually, we got a little bit of time left, so I'm not going to do that to you guys. I'm not that rude. We're going to go with ask a question. Let's take risks, you guys. So, do you like flowers? I wanted to smack myself. That was a terrible conversation starter. I mentally smacked myself before hearing James chuckle softly. I turned to look at him as he nodded.
They have a wonderful aesthetic. Many people would think that flowers are simple and rather boring, but I've learned secrets about flowers.
Secrets about flowers? What, like a special way to water them or something?
You could say that. There are right and wrong ways to water flowers.
Can you show me? James gave a small smirk before walking over and standing behind me. I instantly blushed as he brought his arms underneath mine, guiding my watering can. The water gently poured over the dirt, sinking in and dissolving into the roots. However, my concentration on the water was broken by the sound of James' voice in my ear.
Flowers need to be cared for gently, like a fragile light. Too much power and they'll break, but too little and they'll wither and fade away. It's like caring for a pet or a loved one.
A loved one? For some reason, those three words echoed in my head. James continued to guide my watering can, using gentle hands to lead my arms and my body. It was almost like a dance. Eventually, he let go and stepped away from me. I turned to him as he simply smiled at me before returning to his work. I felt my face with my hand, feeling the extreme warmth before shaking my head and continuing to water the remaining plants. The hour of the house party had arrived. In my mind, I kept double and triple checking the essentials for the party. Knowing my dad, he invited his business partners and the executives of the Anderson Company to show me off. I stood in front of my mirror in my room, staring at my form as a million thoughts ran through my mind. It wasn't just a housewarming party this time, but at the same time, it wasn't. It was just a housewarming party, but at the same time, it wasn't. Okay, you guys, this is actually where we do need to end it, and I am so sorry. I hate leaving you guys at cliffhangers. Makes me feel like trash, but I guess it's called trash can, not trash cannot. Anyway, excuse all the background noise again. This is a really sensitive recording thing that I'm using, but it's really, really good too, so I would definitely recommend. But we are on the route to start James's route. I will probably actually upload one more episode tonight. I'm not entirely sure, so keep updated. If I don't, it will definitely be tomorrow. Anyway, thanks guys.